Hello out there, you wonderful people. This is Andre the Game, my dear guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear listening into another Gamer's Thoughts discussion. In this, I'm going to be talking about NFTs and gaming and why I'm not in support of NFTs and gaming. First thing is, I kind of got to tell you what an NFT is if you do not know, and it is called a non-fungible token, which means in general that it is a digital product with a unique ID signature on blockchain. Now, the digital product does not have to be a unique product. It's just that the code to said product is unique. So you could have two people with identical items that are NFTs, but the code for the NFT is different, which sets them apart from each other. And unfortunately, this also makes NFTs an expensive item, which again isn't necessarily needed. Now, if you're a gamer, you've probably thought about this before, but just to say it out loud, NFTs aren't really anything different than anything else that you can get. They are just something that costs more money for having a unique signature, but they are still exactly the same as everything else. So let's, for example, you could say you could get DLC for a game that is an NFT. And solely because it is an NFT, that thing could be far more costly than it would be normally. And there's no need for that to be done. And there are game companies out here that are trying to find some way to spin NFTs into their games and their digital products. And I'm like, if you're already selling your stuff digitally and it's on someone's account, that means it's tied to their account. It's tied to their account digitally already. You don't need an NFT for anything because it's already got its own unique coding signature for that particular person's account. And lo and behold, you can't access it without access to that account. So, say for example, you're playing on an Xbox, whether it be a One or a Series S or X. Say you put your Microsoft account on your friend's Xbox and you download a game to play the game on said friend's Xbox. The moment you disconnect your account from that Xbox, that game cannot be accessed on that Xbox anymore. All it is the same thing that everybody fought against way back when. It's the same thing. It's I'm missing the word here, and I know what it is. I know what the word is. I don't know why I'm like sitting here blanking out on it. DRM, digital rights management. That's what NFTs are. They are expensive DRM. Highly expensive DRM. NFTs are DRM to the nth degree. You don't need them. We don't need them. Especially not to mix them in gaming, which already has its own form of it anyway. It would be redundant. And redundant without a purpose other than to make something more expensive. You know how dumb the idea of NFTs are at this moment? I could, in theory, take this very podcast that I am recording, make an NFT of it, and sell it. And possibly make like $1,000 off of it, depending on how far I could push it. That's kind of what the concept is, at least how I've seen people using it. Again, it's not something that is actually unique or something that actually has to be unique. And that's the sad part about it. Because if NFTs were actually unique items, then they would potentially actually be worth value. But that's not something you can do with video games. You can't give everyone a unique product and not expect there to be ripples throughout gaming for that. And I mean every individual person gets something completely unique to their video game from someone else. You legitimately just can't do that. It will cause too many problems. And again, we already have digital rights management. So why would we need NFTs? DRM has been a thing for a while, and everybody's dealing with it now. Why the fuck will we need NFTs? There is no need for them. Because DRM already covers that particular itch that everybody wants to scratch. And I think at this point, companies are just trying to find a way to make more money off of their stuff. And, I've kind of suggested the practical thing. I don't think too many people would actually listen to the practical thing, but I've already suggested it, and that is to charge properly what your game is actually worth. And not make multiple editions of a game. Let's not have a standard, then a deluxe, then a hyper edition. How about we just make one edition of the game that is the complete game and charge what it's actually worth? Instead of trying to do all this underhanded bullcrap that nobody really gives a fuck about, that no one wants. Why don't we do that? It saves the stress, it saves agitation, saves anger. Nobody's going to be picking a fight. Well, somebody's going to be picking a fight, but not as many people. Why can't we do that? Why can't we just say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to go through all the trouble of doing all this extra bull crap. I'm not going to try to be underhanded with my customers and consumers. I'm not going to try to bilk everybody's pockets with stuff that's not actually worth any goddamn thing. How about we do that instead? I think that would be much better. And people would be a lot happier. But just going with NFTs, which is just really another form of digital rights management, but far more expensive, I don't think is a good idea. Let's not put more restrictions on the stuff that we've already restricted. The concept of it all is annoying and stupid. And if you can't read the room as a game company and say that these are not a good idea for your game, and you have to have people tell you it's not a good idea, I got bad news for you. Your product is probably not going to do very well. You should not have to you should not have to have gamers tell you to read the room and look at what's going on before you decide, okay, we're going to slide some NFTs in our game. That shouldn't have been the case in the first place. You shouldn't have even thought about it. Gamers don't like the idea, so don't try to force it on us because it's just going to cause problems. And again, there's not really much that you could do with NFTs for gaming in the first place unless you are legitimately going to give each and every person an individual product that is different from something else that someone else has, and that is the only way for it to be of value. Because otherwise, just having the code be a digital code that once you open it and unlock it and use it, that digital code is worthless. You can't do anything with it. You can't resell it. You can't transfer rights. You can't do jack diddly fucking squat with it. You can't even repackage it with that code and give it to someone else. Again, useless. So why go through the trouble of doing that? Especially, again, when digital rights management already covers it. Not saying that all forms of DRM are bad, but this is definitely one I would think would not make much sense to try to even include in gaming. It it just reeks of greed. It reeks of greed. And that's how a lot of people take it. It looks like a greedy tactic to get a bunch of people to give you more money for something than what it's worth. And when you could just, actually charge what something is worth instead of trying, again, these underhanded tactics. Yeah, I don't like the underhanded tactics. I don't really think anybody does. But game developers, I'm going to say this clearly so all of you hear and understand, and hopefully you listen closely enough. No one wants fucking NFTs in gaming. Thank you. Well, I think I've rambled on enough about this. If anybody else has anything that they would like to say, please do. I encourage it. I would love to hear from other people what their thoughts are on this particular subject, as I have already espoused mine. Anyway, thank you very much for listening in. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games. Peace out, everybody.